so mental diet. Maybe you have heard this term, maybe you have actually tried to practice it. Today's video is all about what a mental diet is, and I'm also going to give you 4 ways of readjusting your thoughts and what you're focusing on. 4 different ways to stop a negative thought and turn to something positive. So I'm Michelle, I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I'm here to help you uncover your blocks, get them out of the way, because you absolutely deserve that and you can do that. So mental diet. So like a food diet, a mental diet is all about being conscious and aware of what you are thinking, much like you would be conscious and aware of what you are eating and choosing what you want to actually consume. So you are choosing what you want to be thinking. So you notice the impulses, the cravings, the thoughts that are trying to feed themselves and get bigger, and you let them go and choose different thoughts. Choose better thoughts. Choose thoughts that support what you want in your life in general, how you want to feel, what you want to believe about yourself, what you want to believe about the world, what you want to actually experience, validate that that's possible and you're able to have it. All sorts of wonderful things you can replace negative thoughts with, and I'll talk about how you can replace those thoughts later in the video. But I just want to say, first and foremost, the absolutely most detrimental thing you can do to yourself is criticize yourself. So having self-critical thoughts are the absolute most harmful things you can do to yourself. They feed your subconscious mind with a negative perspective of yourself, so that you then accept being treated poorly, you treat yourself poorly, you don't try to gain the things that you want to have, you don't think you deserve it, you just create all these limiting beliefs for yourself when you allow your mind to say things about yourself that are harmful, that are cruel or critical. We are all here to learn and grow, and there's nothing wrong with striving to change and evolve, but we do that through openness. We do that through compassion of seeing where we're at, where we want to go, and making decisions to move us forward. There is no benefit or point in being critical of yourself. So while you may go on a mental diet, just remember that your critical thoughts are the absolute most important thing to stop engaging in, but you may have many other thoughts that aren't helpful that you'll want to not engage in. But if you find yourself slipping from your mental diet, do not then go criticizing yourself for not being able to maintain it, because that is the absolute opposite of the whole purpose of I don't want to say exercise, it's a practice. It's more than a practice. So a diet we think of often as like a short term, I'm going to do this and then I'll get the results I want and then I'll stop doing it. But those are not effective diets. Those are like the diets where you don't eat any carbs and then you reward yourself with carbs at the end. So this isn't a mental diet to say I'm gonna not engage in negative thoughts, and then once I'm done doing this for a week, I'm just going to feed myself all those negative thoughts again. Dietia is the Greek word that diet came from, and it actually means way of life. So we are learning to engage our mind differently. We are learning to both observe our mind and focus our mind. And that is basically what a mental diet is. You are observing what is going on in your mind, and then you are choosing what you want to focus on. So just remember that your thoughts, as your feelings and also your actions, are manifestations of your beliefs. So when you are thinking thoughts, most of us think the same series of thoughts day after day after day. They aren't inspired, they aren't new, they aren't necessarily true in any way. It's just what our beliefs have programmed us to think, and so it's natural and habitual for us to think certain thoughts, many of the thoughts we think continually. And we believe that they're true, we believe that they're valid because we think them so often, because we have that foundational belief that's making us think those thoughts. So yes, you can reprogram your subconscious mind, but when you're going through your day-to-day living, you aren't in your subconscious mind so much. You are in your conscious mind, and you still have complete authority in that space. So through our daily life, we can and we are influencing our subconscious mind, but we only really have control over what we're influencing our subconscious mind to believe when we are conscious and aware. So when we are not observing ourselves and we're just going through our day, we may be imprinting on our subconscious mind all sorts of things we don't like because we aren't choosing what's going in. We're just letting our subconscious mind take whatever's coming our way. So our mental diet, of course, consists of our thoughts, but also consists of the media and the things we consume, the people we hang out with. What are they saying? What are their perspectives? What words and what thoughts and ideas are we listening to? Because our subconscious mind is always, always, always listening, and it's adjusting and formulating beliefs based on what it's hearing, based on what it's consuming. And so we have this power to be aware of our thoughts so that we can choose what our subconscious mind gets imprinted with. And the more aware we are, the more we direct that, and the more we get the results we want. So when you're going on a mental diet, you want to obviously stop thinking negative things. Stop thinking things that are disempowering, that are saying, I can't, it won't happen, I'm not good enough. Anything that doesn't make you feel good, stop thinking it. And I don't mean think the thought and say, bad thought, I shouldn't have thought that, go away, I want to think something better. No, we're aware. We become aware. Oh, I thought a thought. I didn't like that thought. That's not the way I want to be thinking. Let it go. That thought is now in the past. I don't need to criticize it. I don't need to judge it. There is no good or bad thought. There's just thoughts that make us feel certain ways, and we're choosing how we want to feel. And we want to feel good. We want to feel those positive feelings. So we're selecting thoughts that make us feel positively. And when we notice we aren't feeling particularly good, what are we thinking? What are we feeding our mind right there? And, oh, that wasn't a good thought. Good in the sense that it didn't make me feel good. So I'm just going to let that go, and I'm going to think a better thought. And so continue to do that. Be as aware as you can all throughout the day, monitoring your thoughts, what makes you feel good, what doesn't make you feel good, and just drop them. We don't suppress them. We don't get angry at the thoughts. We don't say, I'm so bad at this, or this is never going to work, I can't do this. We just say, oh, I didn't like that thought, I'm going to let it go. And you could do that 100, 1,000, 10,000 times a day. And as long as you're practicing dropping the thought, as soon as you become aware that you are thinking a negative thought, you don't finish it. You don't say, oh, I'm really in this like mental conversation where I'm angry and I really want to get my final 2 cents in. No, we just say, whoops, I don't need to go on some mental tangent of an argument that happened 10 years ago and how I wish I had said something I didn't say. It's not benefiting you. There's no need to do that. So those inner conversations where you're arguing, where you're trying to prove yourself, where you're imagining scenarios that are never going to happen. I'm not talking about like going into an intentional visualization. I'm talking about these like ruminating, daydreamy thoughts that are actually making you can feel it in your body. They're making you feel not good. So we're dropping those, just dropping those thoughts as soon as we become aware. And then you're replacing it with a better feeling thought. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But the other thing I want to say is be aware of the media you're consuming, in the sense that they say you're an amalgamation of the 6 people you spend the most time with, right? So who are you spending the most time with? What are you picking up on? And it's not just people. If you're going home and binging a series on Netflix for 3 hours, you are immersing yourself in that world with those people, those characters, and what they're saying and their perspectives on the world. And although in your mind you can be aware that I'm just watching a show, I'm not in there, I don't necessarily agree with these people, this is just what's happening, your subconscious mind is not that critical, and you are absolutely in a trance-like state when you are consuming media, especially watching TV for a long period of time. But even scrolling, same thing. So if you're trying to manifest a relationship and you're scrolling on TikTok and you're watching videos all the time about how hard dating is that really making you feel good? Sure, it's kind of validating, but that's not giving you the feeling you want to feel. Those aren't the thoughts you want to be thinking. They're limiting you, they're holding you back. So be conscious and discerning about what you are watching and consuming, and that includes music as well. Music is very trance-inducing as well. So that rhythmic, whatever, you're letting those words go in sometimes without even realizing what the words are, and they can be not supportive of what you want. They can make you feel not good ultimately. When we're sad, we like to listen to that sad music and feel validated, but what you are doing is impressing your subconscious mind with more of that negative thinking and feeling. So I don't mean to make it sound super intense, like you can't watch TV or you can't go on social media or you can't, think any kind of thoughts, but be conscious, be aware. And you'll notice that once you start choosing better thoughts, once you start watching content that actually empowers you, that the other stuff isn't even interesting anymore. Again, it's a way of life. Like, a mental diet is not a temporary thing. It's a way of retraining your brain to think more positively to get you where you want to go. And it's what you do in your consciousness versus when we do hypnotherapy and subconscious work, where we're talking to the subconscious mind directly and changing that way. There's all sorts of ways to change, but basically the two, in my opinion, are subconscious work and conscious work. So subconsciously addressing your beliefs and working through them, that's a very distinct time and place. Consciously is basically all day, every day. It's a huge component of our lives. So the more we bring awareness in, we can consciously change. And I find it's not that it's slow, it's just, it takes awareness. So it takes work, it takes that persistence that everyone talks about. And it's acknowledging every moment, as often as you can, what you're doing, and then choosing what you want and doing that instead. So once you notice you're having a negative thought and you think, whoop, don't like that thought, I'm going to think something different instead, what do you then do? Okay, so I'm going to give you four options. Use them all. Use one, play around, whatever you like. Everyone is kind of a little bit different. You might be in a different mood. You might want to try this. You might want to try that. Anyway, you think a negative thought, first thing you can do is have a couple affirmations ready. Write them down, kind of memorize them. 2. You only need 2, 1, 2, 3 to 5, whatever, however many you want, but have a couple that are just right there on the ready. So as soon as you start thinking a negative thought, what do you want in your life? What are you trying to create change in? How do you want to be? Pick something you're trying to manifest, you want to create. And just repeat those affirmations right away. Repeat them however many times you need to get in a state of okay, I'm in control of my mind, and then go on with what you're doing. So it could be, the lucky girl syndrome thing. You can just say nope, I always get what I want, everything works out for me. No, I always get what I want, everything works out for me. You start going on a mental tangent, some conversation with someone you're angry with. Oh, no, everything always works out. I always get what I want. It's all good. And then carry on. You'll find, okay, I don't need to keep saying that. I feel good. My thoughts are in a good place. I can go focus on something else, whatever. So affirmations. Or if you're really wanting to do a 180, that was a dark place. I don't like where I went there. No, I can't. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to turn it around and go on a rampage of positivity. You know what? No, I'm amazing. I can do anything. I've got this. I'm so great. I've always been so good at this, and I can just get better and better, and life's working out for me, and I'm totally in control. Things are great. Life is easy. I feel good. Really just start impressing yourself with a lot of positivity and gassing yourself up, and doing that opposite of criticizing yourself, and just say every possible thing you can think of that makes you feel good about yourself. You don't have to believe it all to be true, but you can kind of feel what it could feel like for it to be true. And then you'll find you're just in a much better state, and you're naturally training your mind to just lead in toward positive thoughts now. Additionally, you may be very visual. So I sometimes talk about anchors. So that for me, I mean, there's kind of different ways you could talk about an anchor, but for me, an anchor can be like an image in my mind that conjures a feeling, a general sense of something. So maybe it's like an image of my sister and it just makes me feel love. It makes me remember how valued I am and what I bring to the table, and that, just kind of like a broader sense of ideas and positive feelings about myself and how much love I have in my life and how much I love her and her family. And there's like a lot to it. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So I picture her and I just, have like a little snapshot image of her in my mind, and it brings up good thoughts, good feelings, and just reminds me of a lot of good things, and gets me in a better state. And again, when you're just in a more positive state, you're naturally going to be thinking more positive thoughts. And that's the point, is like, we're not going to be able to consciously think positive thoughts and impress them in our mind all day, every day. It's to be aware as often as we can, notice when we're going in a direction we don't want to go in, do what we have to do to shift it around, and then you're kind of going to lose your awareness and keep going about your day. But because you've made that shift, you're going to be thinking more positive thoughts, and it becomes a habit. Okay, and then the fourth thing you can do is easy peasy, is just move, go do something else. Take your mind off of whatever it is you're thinking, say, oh, drop it, and then focus your attention on a task. Like very focused. So I always say, like, go do your dishes or brush your teeth. If you're like me, the dishes are kind of always lingering, so they're always there to be done. But just take your mind off of whatever nonsense is going on in your head and focus it on something productive. And I don't mean like zoning out and watching TV necessarily. I wouldn't recommend that, but focusing on doing work, or, oh, I've got to respond to that email. I'm just going to go deal with that email, and take your mind just off of the negativity, without trying to turn it all around or change how you're feeling in any way. Just let it go and completely step out of that space and into a different environment, mentally and physically maybe. So that is how you can be on a mental diet, maintain a mental diet, simply being aware of the thoughts you are thinking, noticing thoughts that don't make you feel good, or negative thoughts in general, and just dropping them, saying, oh, bye-bye. Kind of like when you're in a meditation and you're told, to witness the thought, let it go. It's kind of like a waking meditation where we notice the thought, we let it go, but then we don't just leave that space for emptiness. We choose to actually put in more positivity. And in so doing, you are impressing that positivity and everything that is associated with what you're saying to yourself and training yourself to think and feel, is being impressed on your subconscious mind. So that is shifting your subconscious beliefs, because when you are dropping those negative thoughts over and over and over again, you are telling your subconscious mind, hey, no, this is irrelevant. This isn't interesting or important or have any place in our life anymore. This isn't doing anything. You're not feeding it. You're not reacting to it. You're not creating any space for it. And so your subconscious mind is going, oh, okay, so no, not this anymore. And then you're saying, actually, this, and this, I want to feel good. I want to feel empowered. I can have what I want. And it's like, oh, this is important. This is what we're going to shift into now and believe, and then perpetuate more of those thoughts. Because it's kind of like a loop. You're thinking the thought, you're impressing your subconscious mind with it. It creates a belief based on those thoughts, which then manifest more thoughts. And if you don't bring awareness in, you don't break the cycle, you're thinking thoughts that are just empowering more beliefs that perpetuate more of the same thought. So we're jumping in and saying, no, we're not thinking that anymore. We're actually thinking this instead. And so then you're impressing a new thing on your subconscious mind. And the more you do that, the more that becomes the belief. And it then makes it the habit that you're thinking positive thoughts, which ultimately feel positive. So that is Mental Diet 101. If you want to work one-on-one with me, you can book a consultation below, and I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, take care.